All right. I'm sorry, black women. I have no idea what the hell happened. It just all of a sudden the camera shrunk like this, and then I don't know what the hell was going on. And couldn't get it to fix. Couldn't get it to work. So let me go back to what I was saying. Get off of there. Put the banner up. Okay, so and why isn't it over here? What's going on with this shit? All right, so hopefully y'all can hear me again. Hopefully I'm back. So what I was saying, I'm trying to get in here. All right, where am I? This is really giving me a hard time today, and it should not be. All right. Okay, so I'm back, right? I apologize. I have no idea why that happened, but anyway, they probably didn't like me saying what I was saying to y'all. But the bottom line is this, right? So in all of that, I saw what came out of everything that was happening to those women, and it made me think like, we really spend a lot of time unnecessarily always like fighting and shit with each other, and it's not making our situation any easier. So I want us to try to work on not doing that as much as we used to. And I want us to not always be so fast to say, well, the black women are doing it too, or they're helping the black males out when anytime something is happening. Like when I spoke about earlier, the two black guys that shot up the car with the four children and the boyfriend in it. Somebody has said on the comments when I was speaking about that on another channel, they're like, yeah, well, the same old shit we always say. They had the black women to help hide them out, and it's always, trying to always implement black women into the wrongdoing with the blackmail and disregarding how significant the first incident is that caused all the problems and that will continue all the problems to come. Like, yeah, we know that there are a lot of black women out there doing stuff and coddling, caping, assisting, trying to pretend that shit is not as bad as it is with these dudes when it is, all because they can't come to grips with the fact that you got to choose yourself. You cannot choose them, and you have to start somewhere. And when you start by realizing that if we don't do those things, a lot of that will stop, and we will discourage other women from thinking that that's what they should do, or oh fuck everybody, I'm going to do that. When people start to show them like we're not going along with that, that's not what we're advocating, and we don't like you for doing that just as much as we don't like them for committing the criminal act. That's how you make the change, y'all. But I'm gonna try to remember exactly the point I was trying to make about all of them. But my point was leading towards when I sit back and watch everything that's happening, right? I see how those women were being attacked by other people on YouTube that I had no idea of until I actually started watching some of the other videos and listening to people talk, right? And so you begin to see, like, I begin to see all of the, like, it's like a web of confusion and stupidity that goes on YouTube where whenever you have these idle content creators on here, like that lady Star Millennia, right? They have to break up any type of consciousness movement they see happening with black women on YouTube. They have to always try to divide and conquer, trying to get other people to piggyback off what's already going on. That is an issue to keep it going because they understand. And this is what I want y'all to understand. You are the most influential, powerful group of women in this country. Despite the fact that people go out of their way to keep you miseducated, undereducated, underemployed, and unemployed, evicted, and homeless. You are so important because you are the only group of women in this country who actually gets together and comes together to do things to right the wrong of this country that is not only for your benefit, but for all the other women of color behind us. Whether they respect our actions or our stance, it happens either way. Like when black women were in this country and did not have the right to vote from the suffrage act, but the white women did, and it took us all the way to 19 fucking 64. From listen now, 1920 in America, and in places like South Africa, England, etc., those white women was voting in 1918. Even though it's a little 2 year difference, it's still years before. And so, even without the legal right to vote, black men could vote. No, no, that's not true. They came later, but they still came before 1964. Matter of fact, um, the black men were allowed to vote or start began to began to be allowed legally in writing, like in the 1950s, the 50s. Yep, the 40s they weren't able to, but the early 50s, yeah, because that's when they had all those freedom fighters going down to the south and being killed. So yeah, in the 50s, and we didn't actually get, even though we would have been able to take advantage of the grandfather's clause and the voting literacy test, we didn't actually begin to vote and move until the Voting Rights Act of 1964, period. So we had a lot of making up to do. And even though you had all those wonderful black women without the right to vote putting it down in America, like Fannie Lou Hamer, all the rest of those women that were fighting their own civil rights to make sure black women had the right to work in factories, could work on farms, have farms, worked in the industry, like industrial factories making war equipment, making dresses, making everything that America, because back then America made their own products, right? So everything that America needed, black women were in those factories. Even little children were forced to work back then too. They were in those factories working and producing all of the goods and supplies for America. And they were also advocating for labor and unions and parental sorry, maternity care, all of that. And keep in mind that during those times when all that was happening, because America was segregated, black people did have their own hospitals, their own places, their own towns with their own people. You could live on the same block with a doctor and a dentist. You could live on the same block with your school teacher, a college professor. You could do that. You could even do that here in New York City up until 1972, y'all. In the 60s, when we rode the train, I was a little baby, so I don't remember. But my grandmother has pictures of her riding the train with James, James Baldwin. She took a picture on the A train with Miles Davis. And one of my cousins used to play the drums for Billie Holiday back in those days. So it's like black women have been instrumental in a lot of the black movement and progression of our community in America. So when you know your history about what women like you were able to do, that noise is right on time, right? Because you see how I'm talking to you about black women and our contributions to the black community. That caravan outside is for the black woman that's running for the New York State Assembly. That's her caravan running through the neighborhood with the music. And I saw it, her picture, Lorinda. What's the last name? Goddamn, I just voted for her the other day. Wait, she just said her first name. Say the. It's gone. The truck is gone. My window right here, my picture window for my living room, it faces the street, my street, so I can see all the cars and stuff and everybody and my parking lot below where my car is. But anyway, what the fuck is her name? Lorinda, I forget, y'all, but it's Lorinda something. That's her. So it's funny how when I'm talking about black women and how we have always been instrumental in doing what we need to do when no one else is doing it for us, even the black males, we pick up the charge and keep going. So in keeping with the spirit of Lorinda running for assembly, New York State Assembly, because she wants to work on homes for the poor, which is important here in my city, right? That should be important to you too. This is what we do as women. We see the thing that needs to be addressed and we start going for it. And I want you black women to see what needs to be addressed on YouTube and all of this crazy shit where we have women like Star Millennia and others coming at other women, whether we 100% agree with them or not. But when they're trying to make young black girls think that education is not important, that them fulfilling whatever life it is they want in society for themselves, and not to see themselves through the lens of religion, where it dictates you're supposed to be somebody's wife and have a buttload of children that the American government could take advantage of, and that you put yourself in a position where you are now being subject to domestic abuse by the person who's helping you father those children, and maybe, hopefully not, end up another victim of black femicide. You are in control of all of that. You have the authority to say, I reject all the shit that you're putting on YouTube to sully and to degrade the character and the name and the image of black women. And what I'm going to do in my own personal life and with everybody within my arm's range that I have an influence on, I'm going to teach and try to push those black women and girls towards being the best people they could be, and stop worshiping black males, and stop thinking that the way other people want to see us in this country is what we're supposed to be. And for us to like grow this independence of what we want out of life and what we want in this society, and then start going for it. It's really that simple. Just start, get your ass out there and push for it. Black women, if you have daughters in your home, begin the open dialogue. I don't give a fuck how bad the relationship was or is. I go through it too. It's difficult for mothers and daughters to get along once this society grabs a hold of the girls, and some of us women have too many old teachings from the past where we don't see the bright future in our girls that we should, and we don't start pushing them towards where they need to be in life. Start making those individual changes. I don't care how much it hurts, how much you have to deal with a personal inner crisis. Do it. You do not have a fucking mental block. You can do it. All it takes is to open up the words, say what it is you got to say repeatedly. Repeatedly, both of you to each other, until all those fucking fences amend, and that's another young black girl saved. So that no, she's not gonna be the fucking victim of one of these fucking Anton Daniels maniacs viewers, or some Kevin Samuels fucking flunky. You have to do those things. You have to. You have to see that the future of black women is independence. The future of black women is to be our own exclusive collective group in this entire society of this country we live in. That's the only way we're going to survive. That's the only way we're going to get black women up out of poverty. and stop having young girls think that it's cool to be living with some dude that's abusing you, older than you, taking advantage of you, beating you, hurting your kids, making you have a problem with your family, telling you that you're less than nothing, making you believe that, and feeling like that's your place in this world is to only be somewhere underneath him to suffer. You gotta stop it. Let me read what was wrote. What was it like for the black women in your family who had lived through the women's suffrage movement? And the next one was, or just black women in general during those times who lived through this. Well, I can only go by what my grandmother told me because remember, the suffrage movement was like 1920, okay? So my grandmother was born in 1918. So she's only two when that happened. And her mother, not my grandmother, I'm getting it wrong, okay? Wait, give me a minute. I'm getting the shit wrong. Yeah, my grandmother was born in 1918. Her mother was born um 18 something, I forget, right? And I don't even remember the age she was when she had my grandmother because back in those times they didn't keep birth documents publicly for us to know our people's. They didn't have birth certificates. Like my grandmother's mother's birth information was kept on a census for that state in Louisiana, where she was. My grandmother was actually born, and who her father was, right? So they didn't, even though this was 1920, and listen to the shit I'm telling you. Even though they told you that slavery ended in 1865, I am telling you, her mother was born a slave. Do you not hear me? And that was like, let's say 1890. Let's just say that, right? She was born belonging to this white man in Louisiana who began raping her at 12 years old. I don't even know the age she was when she had my grandmother. But that is the same white man who was raping her that ended up leaving her the house and the property because I guess he felt some type of guilt or who knows why the fuck he did it. But anyway, my grandmother's mother, I would say like around 1930 or 40. She's still like a teenager going into a young woman, right? She couldn't leave that place where she lived. She wasn't allowed to go to the grocery store. She wasn't allowed to. I'm serious now. Listen to me. She wasn't allowed to leave any part of that land and was not allowed contact with black men. Women, any kind of black woman that was working on that land and caught under the same slave situation she had during that time when they were not supposed to be slaves, but they were, only the women could come and be around her. If you haven't gotten a hint by now, she was a house slave. She was the one that he was taking all his frustration out on. And just to let you know, when they did that to black women, it wasn't just one, it was several. In that particular house, that man had like 7 or 8, possibly 10 black women that were like my grandmother's mother, which was probably some great baby from somebody else. But they were all real light skinned black women with funny hair and funny eyes. And he was fucking all those women in that house, beating the fucking shit out of them, and making them have as many children as they could for him. One fucking white man, y'all. One white nigga. So all those other stories where, like, some of your grandmothers may have been like living the nightlife and living in big cities like New York and being fan dancers, because back then during those times, black women used to dance exotically to make big money so that they could live decently, right? They wasn't naked the way they try to tell you. They used to wear those pasty things and shorts, like flesh color shorts as they could, right? And they danced. And you know they did this because during that time Josephine Baker was alive and well and running all over America and Europe. But for my particular grandmother's mother, who suffered a type of fate that many black women did all over this country, but specifically in Mississippi and Louisiana, because these are the two main states that were the richest fucking states in all of America during the times of slavery and shortly after. Okay? Because when you think about it, right? 1920. Let me look. Let me see, because I couldn't think it right now off the top of my head. But let me explain it to y'all, so y'all get the gist of it. Because there were a lot of black women that was out there living their life, right? They was going out with gangsters, because during that time in Harlem there were gangsters that were making just as much money as the Irish and the Italian gangs. Because during that time, remember, it was Lucky Luciano. I forget the other dude's name that was a big gangster boss at that time. Muggsy Malone or somebody like that. Um, I do not remember the guy's name, but it was a lot of white dudes back then that were immigrants to America that had to protect themselves against the police the same way the black people did. So they formed those gangs that y'all know of, that Al Capone came from, and all the rest of them. That's how they protected themselves and their community against the white people that had been here the longest and fucking up everybody that came here through Ellis Island. So during those times when the other black women who didn't come from where my people came from were probably living in other parts of the South, South Carolina or wherever, or like my father's people, her mother and them, who lived on the Gullah Islands, off of the coast of the Carolinas, way out in them islands. They had their own houses. They had they were separate from the mainland, so they had their own houses. They had their own fruits and vegetables they grew. They had their own system, like their own little town they lived in with the Native Americans all by themselves. And the port that used to come in to their little area on St. Anne in the Gullah Islands was called Ibu Landing. So they had their own things going on and they were independent and free as the bird from the white people over here. But my mother's people, who come from my grandmother and them, those women were never allowed the freedoms and all the movement across America that we take for granted. And that when things like Juneteenth passed the other day, and we talk about how those black people in Texas, because Juneteenth is about the celebration of the Texans, who were the very last people who were enslaved to get the news that they were free. That's what Juneteenth is all about. But the truth behind that is that there were still black women and black people in pockets all over America, in places where my family was, where even though supposedly America said they were no longer enslaved since 1865, they were still being born into bondage and kept in bondage on individual people's plantations up into the early 19 like 30s and 40s, because I believe the way they got off was after this nigga died. It took this white dude to die and find out that he left my grandmother's mother that house. Then everybody started like moving out from the south and coming up north, because during that time they also had this like second great exodus from the south into the north, into the Midwest. I know y'all heard about that before. The first one was done immediately after slavery. Like all the black people left the south as much as they could, and they first went out west and they started participating in those racist homesteading programs they had in places like Oregon, California, Nevada, and I think Arizona. I'm not sure about Arizona, but the other three, yes. And then you had all the other black people that went to Chicago, Detroit, the ones that knew about New York. And we're not talking about New York City, because New York City didn't exist like it did now back then. It was here, but it was mostly farmland and not a lot of shit like it was later on, right? New York City didn't get popping until like the late 40s into the 50s, right? Because even like in the 30s and shit like that, if you came here, you would have found the stores and the brownstones, but all of the like exciting shit that goes on today was very little of that back then. Like maybe a handful of clubs and a handful of opportunities for black people to have work to actually live and make it here. And then it took off when Adam Clayton Powell got elected as the what was he, congressman or senator? I forget. I think congressman, right? I think he was a congressman. When he got elected to office, or was he a senator? I had to look it up because I don't remember right now, but I know, and that's sad because I should know my history better than that. But after he came, that's when things start really jumping down here. But to answer your question, for the black women that lived in the cities, it was bad for them. But for the black women that lived like my grandmother's mother, who was stuck, still living in bondage, even though they claimed she wasn't, it was very hard for them. And a lot of those black women killed themselves because my grandmother talked about how my there was like a lot of cousins and aunts back then that were younger girls, because you got to remember that these women were forced to have children until their bodies just literally stopped having kids, right? So there were women that was in their 60s, 50s, had 10 and 12-year-old daughters, and a lot of those kids killed themselves rather than continue to live like that. When we were little, I remember, like, you know how you little, you can remember certain conversations grown people was having around you, even though they made you leave the room. I can remember them talking about a cousin we had that was like 13 or something and was pregnant. And she didn't want to have the baby and she didn't want to continue to live. So she went in one of those little boats they make, because they used to make boats out of trees back then. And what this girl did was she had filled the boat with rocks, and it was another thing they said was heavy. What the fuck was it they were saying that she put in that boat? I don't remember the other thing, but she had put the big rocks. If y'all know anything about like the South, you have different parts of like Louisiana where when you go to the bayou or you go out to the swamps, for some reason they have these huge fucking rocks all at the like the border or the edge of the coastline where the water meets the land. I guess it's because the water hitting those rocks over time breaks it or does whatever, but there's always, whenever you go there, big ass fucking rocks. So they say she put rocks and stuff, something else, I can't remember now the other thing, in the boat with her. And then she put water in the boat and started carving a hole in it. And you know how you get like a slow hole in a boat? It takes time for the water to come up, bubble up through the hole, and fill the whole boat. Well, she took the oar and put it over her, because you know it has those. They either had two boats in Louisiana: the one with the rings to hold the oar, or the actual holes through the boat. Hers with the hole was the hole through the boat. She put the oar through the holes and held on to the oar until the boat sank and did not come back up. And a lot of the girls, they said back then, killed themselves either by running into fire and holding on to the cauldron in the fire. Cause y'all gotta remember, this is the South and this is not modern times, and these people are still stuck on the plantation. So the way that the stoves were back then was actual open spaces and rooms. And if you even go to Louisiana, to any of these like museums where you go into these mansions of rich people and you go to the slave quarters, you will still see it to this day. Like the chef or the cook, they call them both. Because you know, in French, chef is cook, right? So they would have a room where it was It didn't have no door. It was an open room where you cooked. And the reason this was because they would dig the ground and cement the ground different levels. Like the highest flame would be the lowest level dug into the ground as a square. Then the second level would be a little bit higher, a couple of feet higher than that, to have like a medium flame, but it came straight out off the ground. And they cooked in these huge, huge pots that you and me could fucking fit in, okay? And then the last level of the stove area, which was open, right? Every time I touch this, it fucks up my live. Oh my God. Oh, it did it again. God damn it. Oh, I gotta fix it. I gotta fix it. Oh my gosh. How do I fix this? It just fucks up my live every fucking time. All right, I got it back. So sorry about that, y'all. Those notifications came down, and every time I hit it, it fucks up the camera. I don't know why. Sorry about that. So anyway, those stoves are like that. So they would have the lowest level dug, and the flame would be very high and boiling and cooking. Second level, and then third. So what those girls would do to kill themselves is they would run into that cook area. Yes, plantation. I'm coming in a minute, slime. Hold on to the pot and stay there screaming until they died. Crazy as it sounds, that's what they did. So she's asking me now, she said, also, were there conspiracies going around the biracials? And I don't know about that. I don't think so. Because you have to remember, right? Back in those days, they didn't play biracial games and mulatto games like we play today. They really believed is what true. What I'm telling you? Yeah, everything I'm telling you is true. Stories that I overheard about people that was related to me. So they didn't play those games that we play today with thinking that biracial people are better than black people or something black people supposed to aspire to be. Like how you have all this stupid shit going on now with the colorism and the exotical channels and black women getting bent out of shape thinking that because light skinned or mixed black women are more preferred than dark women like me, they getting bent out of shape when they didn't play those games back then. They really felt like any type of black wouldn't give a fuck if your skin was light as fuck. You still was considered just as black and ugly and disgusting as a person dark as literally the color black. So you said, oh no. I'm saying, was it true that biracials help with white women, help with help the white? No, of course not. Don't ever believe no stupid shit like that. Of course not. They were slaves. They were not helping anybody. Um, the thing with my family, because I could, if we talk about the history of Louisiana, I would have to read you a book. But I'm telling you, my little family, right? So with us, those women practice hoodoo. Now you got to remember, hoodoo is a derivative, not of voodoo. Hoodoo is a derivative of the African practices brought from Africa by the slaves that lived particularly in Louisiana and Mississippi, because you know they are right next door to each other. Okay, so those women practice those practices where they knew how to poison you with food. They knew how to poison you with different animals that have natural toxins, either on their skin or they excrete through spitting at you, like the skunks do that pissing thing at you, or snakes with the venom. the women I come from, and the blowfish and other things like that, right? And different snakes with. You ever heard the thing when they say with the green and yellow snake, green next to yellow will kill a fellow? You ever heard those sayings? Because there is a snake that has all those colors. They have a red, yellow, and green. And if the snake's colors are in the order of yellow, green, red, he if you his venom will kill you instantly. But there's a copycat snake that has the same colors but in the opposite direction. He's friendly. Well, not friendly, but his venom will not kill you. So these are all the things that, like the stories I learned and heard of, from my particular family. So they used all these things that nature offered, plus the trees, y'all. Y'all got to remember, like Louisiana has like a variety of over 200 different type trees, and a lot of those trees were used for medicine. A lot of those trees, like the birch tree, I have a birch tree of my own that I literally planted because when I was young, my grandmother taught me how the birch tree was used as a medicinal, right? It was used for cramps, it was used for coughs and sore throats. And even when you fell down and cut yourself, you could take the sap and put it on, on your cut and it would start to heal it. I'm going to read what you say in a minute. Give me a second. So, but anyway, um, these women would use these natural animals, natural poisons from land and sea and the tree to put these things in these people's food and kill them. And also the most dangerous women, like I know all you guys have heard of the Haitian women that were brought to Louisiana, the Creole women like Marie Laveau, right? I know you've heard of her. She would take the insect eggs of snakes, scorpions, and all types of insects where when their eggs are hatched, they're very, very small. And like almost a lot of animals can't really be seen with the eye, but they are inside like of a liquidy lava type sac. They would collect that stuff. And when they had to comb the mistress's hair and comb the master's hair, they would put that shit in a jar like we do with grease, and they would take those larvae and put it in their scalp. They'll part their hair and rub that larvae egg in the scalp, the parted scalp, and keep putting as much as that as they could because they knew that enough of it would seep into the scalp and it would go into their head and drive them crazy, make them blind, make their nervous system shut down, and literally kill them. And so they would do stuff like that to people. And believe me, to this day, certain women from Louisiana, you see how I know about it, right? Can still do things like that to people because it's not about magic or woo hocus pocus. It's about knowing the things that live all around you because that is really the practice of voodoo and hoodoo. Is to understand your oneness with everything around you, nature, God, the universe. You become one with it. So when you do that, and it doesn't matter which deity you pray to or which one, whatever you do, that's your personal choice. But the whole focus of the religion is for you to understand the world and the earth you inhabit. So in doing that, you learn how to deal with plants, right? We every in most people's houses down there, you're gonna see plants growing all over the place because horticulture is our thing, right? And then you learn the animals. Then you learn the land, the different types of dirt, different type of ground, mud, grass, trees. Because everything in this life can either hurt you or help you that comes from this earth. And that's what we practice. And that is what those women used to do. So when you have, like, I know she's, before I read it, I know she's talking about that shit Tariq Nasheed was saying. That's a fucking lie. That's all his conspiracy shit to try to disrespect black women and big up black men. That's all that's about. But all those women would work together to try to kill as many of those white people as they could by poisoning them when they fed them and any other way they could. Like, y'all really got to understand, like, a lot of women related to me were killed because they attacked the white men that raped them. they tried to kill themselves and the babies they were carrying. They didn't want to live like that. They didn't want anything to do with these people. And because remember, they kept them ignorant, they couldn't read, they didn't know a lot of stuff. So literally they were trapped. They thought they were trapped because if it was like during the time of my grandmother's mother where there actually were cities outside of where she lived, but she wasn't aware of it until after this nigga died. And of course, people want to fight now about money. They want to fight about land. They want to try to take over shit that they feel belongs to them. But now you got a will, and now you got to fight a will and a trust and all the rest of this shit. So this is how she found out all the shit she's lived and all the shit she suffered was unnecessary. And now she's angry. And now she's like, you motherfuckers. And that's my story. That's my people's story. My women's folk story. So anyway, um, those women did everything they could to hurt those people every way they could. They ran, they killed, and they got killed. And that is actually what happened in my particular family. And I'm quite sure that my family was not different from many of the other people that were caught in the same situation. Because, a lot of times, like when you're born in other parts of America, you really don't realize that not all the other black people were living the same way you were. We were all living different. And there really were a lot of black people and their families caught up and kept in slavery up until the 1960s. As a matter of fact, that I didn't know about until they came out with that movie Alice that Kiki Palmer had played in, because she was literally showing you that the shit that happened to my grandmother's mother and all her people back then was really happening to a lot of other people in America that nobody put in the history books or that nobody was really talking about until something horrific happened and the outside world had to come there and deal with it. And then all of a sudden shit was exposed. Or people died, like in this dude's case, and then the insurance people start coming and other family that knew he owned this land and wanted to take claim to it. And then lo and behold, they come and they find out, oh, this motherfucker left everything to her? What? Yeah. So I can't tell you all about Louisiana. I would have to literally read a book, but I could damn sure tell you about what was happening to different people in parts of Shreveport, because Shreveport is big, and it was the import export home of the slave during those times, and it's still poor to this day. It ain't. I mean, it not much has changed since the so-called, like Reconstruction of the South and I'm talking about all the things in history that has literally happened where these places were supposed to have been modernized but weren't. Civil rights movement, um, the right for black people to become elected officials. Not much has changed in that place. Like when I go there and I see people that have been there forever, a lot of those people still got the same shit going on in those places they had years before. A lot of those people's houses, if they're really old, they don't have no real plumbing in their house. They have to bring it in. And if they don't have the money to renovate that shit, they still have wells at the end of their porches. That's how fucked up that place is that I come from. But that is how it is. And the only thing you could do is deal with it and move on. But now, what did you say, Slime? You said, okay, wait, okay, YouTube. Oh, thank you for letting me know. Because I know that Tariq Nasheed had talked about biracials helping the white man during the plantations, even though he's a liar, and he is a liar. He tells stories like that because he wants to try to make a reality and make it true. The things they say about black women helping white men and white people to hold black men down, when all you gotta do is look at reality and really look through history and read anything from history. Read a real slave narrative, and you will literally find out that the things that this dude was saying or has said about black women is completely inaccurate. Those women literally talk about how they were sexually violated almost throughout the day, all day. Not by one person, but by several. And then when you add on top of that the fact that they were getting beat, punished, put into all types of medieval torture devices, and sat in the sun as punishment, all types of sick shit, had their fingernails ripped from their hands, had their hands burnt, put literally into fire. Um, they did horrendous shit to women. And he's trying to make it seem like he's just trying to make it seem like they were being spared from the fucking horrors of that shit when they weren't. And like I said, it was not that long ago. 100 years is not that long. I'm gonna be almost 60. Do you see how 100 years is not that long ago? And my grandmother died when she was in her 90s. She would have almost been 100. And I lived a lot of my life during her lifetime. And her grandma, and sorry, her mother died way before I was born. Of course, she died very young because of all the abuse she took. And her mother died even younger than her because they started messing with her even younger than they did my grandmother's mother. And they used to do that. They used to start raping on little girls when they were like 7, 8, 9 years old. And you have to think about women as you are today. Would you be able to mentally deal with and physically deal with grown ass men raping on you from a little girl to, let's say, 15 every day, almost all day? How would you deal with that? Do you really think that you would be the type of woman who would help them continue to do shit like that instead of being with everybody else who was looking to kill those motherfuckers for doing that and all the rest of the shit they was doing? You just got to think about it for a little while. It ain't hard, because he lies. Because if he really felt that way, and let's say that was true even though it wasn't, why would he end up marrying a fucking mulatto chick from a white woman and then always down talking real black women? Does he make any sense? No, he does not. And that's why you, as black women, need to always stay away from black males, period, especially these days and times, because they do not have your best interests at heart. As much as they want to romanticize and talk shit about how horrible the white woman and man is to them, they can't wait to fuck them, be in relationships with them, and have children with them. Do you not understand that? So anybody that thinks like that, you should automatically know off the bat is dangerous to your existence, because they don't see you as human or as valuable as they see those people who have never been anywhere as human as you have ever been. And they actually are not. They are genetically recessive to every black woman walking on the face of this earth. So when people tell you, you're not human enough, or you're not as good or worth enough, shake your head and let them know I beg to differ. Those motherfuckers are genetically recessive to everything that I am, from their color to their DNA to their hair to their eyes to their skin to how they age to how their whole body functions. They are a walking, breathing fucking mutation of black women, the first people of mankind, literally. So anybody that's trying to make you big up them, they have a mental problem that's beyond fixing. And he's definitely one of them. Because I've seen that dude in the past with his ignorance. I've seen him recently today with his super ignorance, where now he's fighting with Mexicans, Africans, and all this other shit. But the one fight he never takes on is the fight in America that he needs to take up with white America for the equality, economic equality for all black people. Not just talking shit about a few black dudes here and there, but for black women, children, and the males. I'm not gonna call them men till they earn it, and they haven't earned it, and it don't look like they ever will. Because as long as they on YouTube constantly always talking shit about black women and trying to make the whole world be more anti-black to us than they already are, they should be somebody you should never even want to give any attention to. He may be trying to clean it up, Slime, but he still is who he is. He could clean it up, but those that know and can look at his work can see who the fuck he really is. He's nobody. He really is nobody. But he's taking the little bit of things that he has, little bit of money that he's getting from the everyday people who are paying into his lifestyle, just like you pay into with Princella, all the rest of them, Shira, Tanya, Bourbon Bougie, all of them. You're paying them. You're giving them their money to do what they need to do. If they didn't have YouTube and Super Chat and what's the other one, Cash App, they'd be broke ass motherfuckers like everybody else out here, trying to work really hard to make shit happen for them. And in what do they do in appreciation? They literally give black women their ass to kiss, because none of them, and I'm not hating on any one of them individually, I'm just speaking collective fact, right? None of them are actually talking about things that make life better for black women first, who are the first mother of both children, both girls and boys, and who, if their shit is not right, how you expect the children's things to be right? Like, if black women don't have the money they need to properly take care of themselves and their children, feed them healthy, take care of them, have the money to pay rent, pay their bills, make sure the babysitters they have, and everything else the child needs, tutoring, extra people to care for them, take them someplace, whatever that woman needs. If she does not have that at her disposal at the time, and you don't have any of these people with these big ass platforms talking about how they can help make that happen with the fucking influence of their platform, they ain't worth shit. They ain't worth shit. Because you got all these black women out here, and I'm not hating on them, I'm pointing out the facts. I need to make that clear, because I said we trying to change the mindset out here, but you got to be clear about what your fucking mission is and what your purpose is. If you got all these people out here living good off of exploiting black women, they need to be expected to give back a little something, and that little something is the least you could fucking do is spend a decent amount of videos on black femicide, on everything that particularly impacts, hurts, and harms black women and black girls. So that, guess what? The same way these black males and these black women on here who hate other black women talk down black women, dehumanize us, and make the whole world feel like we're like a public toilet where we out here selling our ass like Star Millennia. And believe me, black women, they really think this shit. Believe me when I tell you this. I just recently came back from going somewhere abroad, and I'm about to go again. And literally, when you go, I went and I said, let me just try the little club. I was with other people. I said, yeah, I'll go with y'all. I'll see what it's like. So I'm just like honestly dancing with the dude that's from this country I'm in. I ain't gonna call it this time because I don't think that's necessary, and I don't want to offend certain people because I gotta go back there, right? So anyway, I'm dancing with this dude, and we're regular dancing. I don't do all that grinding shit because I don't. I'm not. I'm just personally not with that. So we dancing, whatever. Take a couple of drinks. We laughing, and you know how black people are. Black people are touchy. So I'm laughing. I'm like to the dude, like it's funny to me, right? But nowhere in my mind am I thinking, yeah, me laughing and being a little touchy with you should be telling you or giving you the signal that I'm ready for you to come wherever we about to go and fuck your brains out. That is not what I'm thinking at all. So as the night goes on, and then we go get coffee, because where I was, this part of Europe, these people drink coffee and tea like the shit is not going out of fucking style. That's another video. But you get used to it when you're there. So anyway, we're in this spot, we're drinking, and people are feeling a little free. So the first thing they start doing is asking all these questions about America and black women. So they're asking me questions about how it is to live here, about some of the things they heard, if it's true or not. And you know me, I'm telling the real truth. Like, nah, that's bullshit. This is how it is. So then he gets around to, we getting ready to leave. I'm getting ready to call Uber. Because in a lot of those European countries, they have Uber, but they don't have Lyft and some of the other car company, ride shares and stuff we have in America. But all of them have the Uber. So I'm calling the Uber, and he's like, "Do you mind? You don't take the Uber, but you let me drive you. And before I take you back to your hotel, you want to come back with me to my house." So I'm thinking, like, why are you asking me to come back to your house? Like, is everybody coming? Or you asked me to come back to your house thinking you're gonna get some ass. So yes, that's what he thought. So of course I asked, and I literally told him, I said, "No, you are not going to go back with me to your home. There will be," and I literally told him, "No fucking, just because I'm nice to you and I laughed and may have touched you a time or two because of what we were talking about or laughing about was that funny to me. Whatever would make you think that I don't know you from anywhere, I'm going to let you have my body? What would make you think that?" And do you know this nigga said, from what he saw on YouTube. Now, where the fuck you think he saw that at? Where do you think, black women? This is why whenever I'm talking these days about black dudes on YouTube, I'm always calling out Anton Daniels, right? Because these type of dudes that have these huge fucking platforms, it's not a lot of black dudes and women that's blowing his platform up. It's all the niggas that actually think, from other countries that are not black, who think that black women really are hoes out here, fucking anybody that comes up to them and wants to, like, these niggas are fetishizing us all over the world. I want you to know this. Okay? In real fucking time. Now, yes, there are dudes out there that will honestly love you, who are not black, marry you, the whole thing. There's a whole fucking channel about it on YouTube. The Asian man, black woman channel. Tons of them motherfuckers. And they have that shit in Asian countries. And if I get to go to Tokyo when I'm planning to go this year, I'm gonna show y'all in real time how the fuck they be reacting to black women. I'm gonna literally show y'all everywhere I go. Cause I've decided I'm gonna put this shit on blast. Cause I didn't think about doing it when I was in Egypt, but for everywhere I go from now on, after this last thing, oh, I gave it away. Oh shit, I didn't mean to say that shit. I, and I shouldn't have said nothing about it because it probably would have went over y'all heads. But anyway, I fucked up. But so they really be out here thinking I'm cat. I'm telling you, I am, because they really be out here thinking that the shit they hear on these videos, and you really don't understand as black women that this shit is being really seen by people all over the world, that you would never fucking think, give a fuck about these niggas' videos like that. And they are literally out here telling people that black women are whores, and you hear how they talk about us. And I literally had that shit happen to me. And I literally had to tell this man, like, "No, son." And the whole New York came out of me like, "Nah, that shit is not happening. And no, son, that is not how we get down. And you need to back the fuck up off me." Cause me, I don't play with shit like that. Like, when you start getting stupid like that with me, I don't give a fuck where I am in this world. I guess I'll be rotting in jail forever. You are not going to be doing shit to me that I'm not having no parts of. It's not happening. Thank you for that. But I'm dead up. And I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't fucking believe it because I just, you ever have something happen to you and you really can't believe that shit is happening? Because I never expected no type of shit like that. These people don't know nothing about black people from America. They have probably never seen a black American in their life. All they've ever seen is African people and some Caribbean people. Because you know, some Caribbean people be moving to other places in Africa and stuff like that. Like Bob Marley's wife, Rita, she still live in Ghana to this day. And I don't know how many of y'all knew that she wasn't from Jamaica. You know, she was actually from Cuba, right? She was a Cuban woman that moved to Jamaica, the way many other people did during different countries' fucking times of civil war and like crisis in their country. The same way the Chinese people came to Jamaica and places like that when they were going through the colonization of their country, and so the people fled after the end of the dynasties and all the rest of that shit started to come into their country, communism, all that shit was because of white people. But anyway, I just had to bring that up. Like these people have never dealt with black American people. They don't know anything about us besides the shit they see on TV, videos, television, and now YouTube, Instagram, and everything else. So this is why I'm telling you, black women, we have to change what is being put out here on this social media about us, and we are the only people that could do it for ourselves. Because you see that white people that own YouTube, they not trying to correct nothing because they making big money off of these black dudes talking about how we're hoes, we're the worst mothers, we're the reason why the community is the way it is. Did you see my video I put up the other day of that white dude reiterating the same manosphere talking points about black women? This motherfucker ain't probably never been around black people a day in his life or ever been to any inner city in America. But yet he confidently sitting up there spitting out shit that Anton Daniels would say, Kevin Samuels, and all the rest of them. What the fuck does he know about welfare taking the black man out the house? What the fuck does he know about that? This is why it's so important for us, starting from a small amount of black women to all of us eventually, taking over our own image on YouTube, stop and stopping the participation in all these channels that are out here dogging us to the world. Because you never know, I'm telling you, you might be somewhere the same way I was and have somebody thinking that you some kind of hoe for the whole fucking everybody that's around you and actually try that shit the way that they was thinking they was going to try that with me. And then what? You understand? This is why this shit is important, and why even though we can't pull their channels down, when most of us, like I said from the beginning, you start getting out here creating your own channels and pumping up black women and supporting other black women and changing. My battery's getting low. Let me try to see if I get a charger. And changing the way people look at us online. That's the only time all this kind of shit is gonna stop, because this dude really thought that I was just gonna be like going back with him somewhere for him to do whatever he felt like doing to me, and that was something I was supposed to be comfortable with. And like, oh yeah, you black, right? You black woman from America. They say this is what y'all do. What, nigga? What? And I'm sorry, I got as ignorant and as black as I could have gotten. I literally had everybody in there feeling uncomfortable, and I did not give a fuck because I was like, what? No, no, motherfucker, no. It is really true how they be doing. I'm telling you. What did she say? She said, yes, he is. He was talking pure trash about black women. Now he's acting as if he's always been on our side. I've watched some of his recent videos. The change is obvious. We gonna talk about that change too. What's up, Kiana? Yeah. Then what else she said? Even though black men kickstarted the downfall of community by selling drugs, degrading black women in their music back in the 80s to the present, and abandoning their families. This is very true, unknown, very true. Ren says, have you seen 98 to 90% of you women? Ren, let me tell you something. Fuck you, and I wish that your mama never had you. How about that? All right. So this is true. And you see how they do that dumb shit? Like, always trying to come in and throw jabs at black women when, let's say there is a black woman out there living like Sexy Red or many of these little black girls that they have real life prostituting themselves and doing interviews for cash on soft white underbelly, right? Who the fuck got them out there doing that? It's these black motherfuckers, these black males. It's not like these young girls said, oh, I'm just gonna wake up today and go outside and treat my beautiful body as a public receptacle for anybody to use and abuse. No, they do this because of the black male influence and because of his pimping and because of his manipulating and his, what is the other thing they do? Um, what is that shit called? Grooming. This is what he does. And the last thing he does is to attempt to make black women look as if we're a monolith of trash by whatever it is they could scavenge up on YouTube of any black woman doing something that is deemed unrespectable. And anybody, if they really wanted to, could do that with anybody in any group. They could scour the internet to find anybody doing something stupid and be like, look, this is how all Indians act. Look, this is how all white women act. Look, this is how all white men look. This is how all Muslims look. This is how all Jews look. Any fucking body could do that. Anybody could do that dumb shit. What's up, MN? But the only people that benefit from doing that are the people on YouTube, whether, especially primarily being these black males who get paid by YouTube to do this, right? And who get paid by the ridiculous black people in the chat, including some crazy black women who give these people cash apps and super chats when I've told you guys time and time again, take the money that you giving these losers, and I don't care who these women are or who these men are, or males, black males rather, and other dudes, because I seen white dudes doing it too. Oh yeah, I seen an Indian dude doing it the other day. And I talked about him in a video as well. Because he was dick riding black dudes. And all these people do not give them no money. Flag their channels and make sure you create your own channel to challenge the shit that they're saying about black women. And put it back on them, because the truth of the matter is this, y'all. It is so much easier for black women not to defame black males, but to actually show their true character just by showing what goes on in everyday fucking life. There's no getting out of that. The shit they be showing about black women is always dumb shit. It's always something where it's a situation that caused the black woman to flip out, say some shit, do some shit, or she's involved with some stupid nigga that's encouraging her to be a certain way or to do a certain thing. When it comes to them, nobody's forcing their hand into criminality. Nobody is, and I mean the whole gambit of criminality, from robbing people to grooming to sexual assault to burglary to murder to kidnapping to entrapment. Nobody's forcing them to do any of that shit. They do it all on their own, willingly, with all types of fucking happiness in doing it. She's like, they are the biggest sellouts in the community. You never lied. They do it every day. Look at Ice Cube right now, and Timberland and the other one that made deals with racist white men to boost their own careers, but in exchange for their support to try to get black people to vote against their best interests by voting in Republicans and conservatives. You got people like Ice Cube and others hooking up with known white racists for them to sell black people out to give them a vote to further take away our rights, our ability to live, and to eventually one day have some fucking money of our own. But because they already got a little bit of money, they don't care about if the rest of us ever have the chance of having anything in life, and especially not generational wealth. It's ridiculous. When I seen Ice Cube doing that shit, I just shook my head and I was like, this nigga's a fucking joke. I said, here we just had Kendrick on June 19th, on Juneteenth, try to bring together all of California to get the black people there with whatever set or gang banging or gangs they belong to realize that that is detrimental to us here in California as a people. We need to all come together and take care of each other against all these power structures that's working against us. That is the best fucking thing that came out of that whole beef shit between Kendrick and that pussy ass Drake. And the best thing that came out of it is because up until like the video I saw yesterday of the Juneteenth, and look how late I am, right? Of the Juneteenth celebration with Kendrick and all of California, the black people that he thought was important to try to get to iron out their differences and love each other. I finally read the lyrics to his song. And his song talks literally about how this country uses capitalism to exploit black people. He's talking about it, of course, in the music business, but when he speaks about the history behind what they do in the music business too, what they did in this country in order to get their wealth, it's all the same. The exploitation of others to take away from the group of black people to give to the whites and others. That's what his song was talking about. Because when I actually read the words, I was like, oh my goodness. He said all of that in a couple of sentences that I've been talking about here on YouTube for fucking months now. Because I just recently started getting on this whole anti-capitalist, um, pro-black thing. I never used to be on this. Y'all know when I first came on here, I was only talking about like different things that affect black women. But now I'm thinking about that, plus trying to explain to black women other things that can help them nationally. What the unknown said? She said, this is why I no longer trust them. They've been changed into something unrecognizable. She said exactly. They've been something unrecognizable. They ain't just changed into that shit unknown. They've been unrecognizable since. Let me give you a good example. Listen, I got one for you. They've been unrecognizable since Frederick Douglass, right? And I'm saying that for a reason because I know Umar be on everybody's pages, minding everybody's business and talking shit all the time on YouTube. But they've been unrecognizable since Frederick Douglass, after his first black wife died, being sick, right? And he was out in Europe and then found out she was dead and then went on to marry a white woman, leaving his children impoverished. Umar, I dare you to prove me wrong, because that I know for a fact. So prove me wrong with that one. They've also been unrecognizable since um, Sir Journey Truth went to court to fight for the rights and the freedom of her children And the fathers of her children were so afraid that they wouldn't even walk with her to the fucking courthouse to file the papers because they were afraid of being killed. Think about that. Your woman, who's a slave just like you, has more motherfucking courage. And since they want to call us masculine, in that time, good masculine energy, that she put her own life on the line to try to get her children's freedom. And your bitch ass couldn't even find the courage to either die standing as a man or walk with your woman side by side to take on whatever the fuck that courthouse would bring. How about that? Okay, there's more examples. There's tons. Who's a mulatto devil? What y'all talking about? Frederick? I'm not going to say that. Now, yes, he ain't had no choice over being a mulatto. Y'all know that. Okay? However, I will say this in his defense. As a little boy, I think he was 6, because I read the Frederick Douglass autobiography. I have it in my library. I made my sons read it. He saw his mother get beat to the point where, you know how y'all be running around foolishly calling each other yellow bone, red bone, and all that other shit. I told y'all that has its roots in slavery. That has nothing to do with a person's complexion, but it has to do with the color of the level of bone that is exposed from your back, depending on which part of the epidermis or flesh the whip has cut through. So if the whip cuts through the flesh, where it passes the epidermis and it gets to the actual bone, I'm talking about the cavity, your fucking rib cage, that is a yellow bone. Because do you know what happens at that point? Your flesh is so exposed that the mucousy lining, that yellow lining that covers your bone, before all the rest of the stuff is supposed to cover it, like the muscle and the tendons and all the rest of that stuff, that whip ripped that shit off. And what's exposed is the yellowness of the bone. But if you don't go that deep, because the yellow bone was the deepest, and they stopped doing that because the person died shortly thereafter from fucking sepsis infection. Okay? They didn't know that back then. So they would go to the red bone, which is just busting through the epidermis of your skin. So, like y'all used to say, to the white meat, that's the same fucking thing. So this is why you don't say stupid shit and just be going along with it, because these dumb niggas be saying it. I had already told y'all that. And I'm not chastising y'all. I'm just explaining to you, like, you cannot follow the shit these ignorant niggas are out here saying, teaching, and doing. Like that ratchet shit, I told y'all, that's a fucking tool. That a ratchet is like when you have a socket and the fucking tool that attaches to the socket. So you need to get something when you screw your fucking battery in your car. You know how you get that funny wrench? That's a ratchet. The word these ignorant niggas was looking for is wretched. That speaks to somebody having a fucked up disposition and bad behavior. But when you don't have no intelligence, you mix up words and you pronounce shit wrong because you just fucking stupid. The same way when you say dumb shit that you don't know is based in horror, you try to equate that dumb shit to somebody's complexion when it don't have shit to do with that. Think about your body and your anatomy. You know what I'm saying? So from now on, when you hear these stupid niggas saying, "Oh, you yellow bone or red bone," somebody tell them, "Look, stupid nigga, that don't have shit to do with somebody's complexion, dumb motherfucker. It had to do with somebody's level of torture, being whipped as a fucking slave. You stupid, ignorant motherfucker." She said, "To be honest, I never really understood the red bone and the high yellow bone thing. That's where it comes from, babe. But you know what it is? Like, These are people, like I told you about the stories I heard and couldn't quite understand it, right? That's where all this type, that's where all this shit comes from. People who start stupid shit like that, or people who overhear things from slavery and don't really know the true history behind it. Because the only thing I know to be true to fact that they use in reference to very light skinned black people when it comes to their complexion is blue vein. Now, the reason they would say blue vein, and they mostly would say this about black women from Virginia, and it was another state. It'll come to be in a minute, but let me tell you why they used to say it in Virginia. Because Virginia was another one of those places where the white slave masters there used to love to rape the shit out of black women. It have all these fucking mulattoes, octoroons, and quadroons running all over the motherfucking place, right? And the thing about the the way that they could tell these women from white women, because they used to look so white, sometimes they would look like white women, right? But remember that they really not all the way white, because they still got a lot of black in them, and they come from black women, right? So they would have undertones, and even though their skin would be light, damn near white, right? You could see they blue vein all through their fucking arm. So they started calling them blue vein, even though they were highly white, damn near white. The way that the white people would identify them would kind of be like along the Mongolian marks identification. You know how like they used to call all Asian and black babies, oh, they got that Mongolian mark, that blue green mark that sometimes would always be on babies' asses to show that they had melanin coming or from melanin. They no longer say that anymore. But that's how you could tell. And these are things white people study, that they would tell, how they could tell the real white women from the black women that were bred to be made to look like white women. And there's a whole book about these black white looking women's accounts from an actual woman who lived this shit her life. I don't know if I could find the book right now. I doubt it. But it was written by a black woman whose women had been raped so much that she literally looked like a white woman but was a black woman. This book is called, and I'm gonna look to find it in my library and either put it up on my. You can find it yourself, but it's written by a black woman that escaped to Canada, and her family currently to this day still lives in Canada. There was a Whitney Museum in the 1990s exhibit done about the little cubby hole that she lived in for years to escape being raped by this white dude. And she wasn't even 20 years old and had like 3 or 4 kids by this nigga. Do the math on that. All right. The book is called, if I remember correctly, An Incident in the Day of the Life of a Slave Girl. I'm gonna find it and I'm gonna show y'all. That is a full narrative of a black woman born into slavery and sexually abused her whole entire life just because of how she looked and these white dudes' fetishes for black women that look white. And how she managed to free herself and went back to get her children. And she lived forever to the day she died, hid away in Canada. And if y'all know the history, the real history of a lot of the slaves that left um, the South, they did escape to Canada. And they went to Nova Scotia and everywhere in Canada, because in Canada there was no slavery like it was in America. All right. So, and she said, your bones, she said, your bones are now showing from the tearing. Your bones are now showing from the tearing of your skin. Their bones were, because remember, they would beat them until their flesh came off. Don't never underestimate or misunderstand being hit with a whip. The whole point of the whipping was to bust the flesh, to torture the person to terror. Do y'all remember seeing and I whenever I watch this movie, I either have to leave the room or not watch this part. Y'all remember the Quentin Tarantino's movie with Jamie Foxx? What was that thing called? Oh my god, y'all know it. Where he was looking for his wife and he was a bounty hunter with the white guy. I always know. I almost had it. I almost had it. Django. Y'all remember Django? So you remember the part when Kerry Washington was being whipped and he was trying and thank you, Eminem Django. And Jamie Foxx was trying to plead for his wife not to get hit. If you remember the scene when she got whipped, it was very traumatic for me. I could not watch it. I was like going through all types of hysterics over here. I was crying. I was like, my heart was racing. That scene was so fucking like it really fucked with me. And so after when they were mending her wounds with the sap, there was a part you can go watch this movie again to see what I'm saying. There was a part where they looked at you could see her back, and the wounds of her back was wider than the width of the lady's finger that was putting the sap in her back. Can you mentally wrap your head around that? Can you imagine somebody slicing a fucking gash in your back that fucking deep repeatedly? Maybe now that would make y'all understand that why I get so enraged when I hear people saying red bone, yellow bone. What the fuck are you saying? You're talking about the torture of black women, children, and men. What are you saying, yo? I can't with it. It's like that thing really hurt me. And just to see her, even though she acted her ass off in that role, the fact that real life people suffered under people who maliciously was beating them. You know, some people would get whipped and drop dead where they stood. That's how painful that shit was. This is why when I say we as black women gotta pull ourselves away from all these fucking people mentally. If you could do it physically, if you got the money, God bless you, right? But pull yourself away mentally from all this ignorance in America, especially on YouTube, and definitely these black males paying homage to the torture and the abuse of black women. Because that's all that shit is. Kay said they like envisioning torturing black women. I believe that to be 100% true. I do. And man said, was she the lady that hid under the house and had her kids bring her food before she escaped? Yes. But it wasn't under the house, and man, it was in the roof. Back in those days, above the kitchen, they would have like this crawl space. I don't know why. I don't know if it was for storage or what, but most of the houses was built like this, and or even they made it because you got to remember that a lot of these people was part of the Underground Railroad, so they used to make these places in their house to keep two and three people up there at one time because you never know how many people would knock at your door. And if you guys ever come to New York City, make sure you Google New York City's Underground Railroad and then go visit all the places where black people used to hide in New York City before they went to Canada. Check it out. It will be very interesting to you. And also, some of these places are landmarked to this day. Some of them are owned by some of the black historical groups in New York. You will really be amazed. Um, my nose is, give me a minute for my nose, y'all. Let me see if I can mute my mic because I don't want to be disgusting, but I can't. My allergies is killing me. 1 second. I really hope y'all didn't hear that. So anyway, you'll be amazed. And then also you'll be able to see the Underground Railroad here, and also the African American burial cemetery. Um, it's down in like the Wall Street area, and there's a little museum there. When I used to work down in that area some years ago, I used to go in that graveyard and sit with my ancestors and eat lunch every day until they put the fence up. They put the fence up, and you know why? Because people had to find it within themselves to go disrespect our ancestors even after they were already dead. So when it first opened, for the first couple of years when I worked down there, I literally would pick people's different tombs that they found, and I would sit there and eat my lunch and pray for them and talk to them, and I felt very relaxed there. You know, and that's a strange thing about cemeteries. Um, I don't know if it's just me, but often, like if I go visit my grandparents or some of my aunts and uncles that passed and cousins, whether it's in New York or Louisiana, for some reason I feel very, very safe, very relaxed. Like I feel like I have no care in the world when I'm in them cemeteries. I don't know what that is about. I don't know if that's the energy of the ancestors or what, but I literally have fell asleep on people's graves many times. And nothing has happened to me. But I'm just speaking to the level of comfortability. And it's just, I don't know. That just came across my mind when I was telling you guys that if you ever come here, make sure you visit. Because you will really learn a lot of stuff about just how horrible and traumatic things were for our people. And it was in New York too. Don't ever think that they didn't have slavery in New York, because they did. Don't ever think that. It was just as brutal here as it was in the South. Don't ever let them fool you like that. Never. As a matter of fact, when you go into the museum here, right, they have a picture of one black man they found, right, who was a short, stocky dude. And they were showing you like the lumps on the back of his neck. And they were talking about how this man had got these lumps on the back of his neck because he had been worked so hard in his life just before he died that his skeletal showed how his bones had literally detached from each other the way that they should be on a skeleton, meaning that in his life, the pressure that was put on his body had, according to them, caused the muscle to detach from the bone of his body because he was worked so hard and so much for those particular lumps on the back of his skeleton to grow that fucking big and deep and thick. So it was just like, it's very interesting. And when I see all this type of stuff and I think about these things, not only cat do I think about revenge, but I also think about like the sorrow and how sad the black women had to be back then because of all of the things that was happening to them in just one day of their life. And if you think about that multiplied by how long they lived, it does not surprise me when I hear stories of my own foremothers here in Louisiana drowning themselves, running into fire, and never coming out. She said that's depraved to what white folks, to what folks like that. Yeah, yeah, it is, but that's what they did. You know how it goes. They even show you in stories, like if you watch any of these crazy ass slave movies, they'll show you parts in every slave movie where people just we did fight. We fought all the time. They will show you people literally dropping dead from exhaustion and being overworked. Horses do the same thing. Did y'all know that? So whenever I see that, that kind of shit pops into my mind. Like, yeah, they did to them the same thing they do to horses. Like, if you work a horse, overwork them, they will literally be sanding and then just drop dead. Boom. And I know these things. I've been around horses my whole life, and it's like it's crazy. And they are very strong animals, but black women are very strong people. But we also give in too. But all those things I think about, and when I see us like not caring about each other, even if we have a fight with each other, not ever having it cross our mind or getting to the point where we could forgive each other, get past that bullshit and move on because we really need each other. And when it really comes to wherever we live in this country or in this world, the only other person we can rely on looks like us. So I think it's about time we change the tables, turn the tables on the whole fucking world and these black men that sell us, black males that sell us out and be black femiciding us out all day and night. We need to turn the tables on all these motherfuckers and start caring about each other only and fuck all the rest of these people. 100%. Especially those black dudes that feel like that nigga that came in the chat a little while ago talking all that ridiculous shit about how whatever women he was talking about pointing out is what they did for that day. Damn sure don't reflect what the fuck I was doing that day or any of you want alive. So what the fuck is he talking about? And please stop with this whole character assassination fucking trip you're on with black women because those are those particular women doing that. That's not all black women. But it is all of you motherfuckers who have disrespected your women, abandoned your children, and sold your fucking ass and soul to the devil and any white man paying you $2 more lunch money than the rest of us. She said, we sure do. Biological black women, girls, all day, every day. Of course we do. There's a little black girl there's a Louisiana YouTube channel I follow, sorry, where her mother have a whole channel of like a mother and daughter relationship in Louisiana. It is the funniest shit in the world because of how we talk. Now I've been in New York so long, so I don't have an accent anymore, but I know all those sayings, and even me with my New York accent, when I'm speaking with my own children and I'm with my sisters or my mother, my brothers, my intimate family, and we talking, all that shit comes out me the same way. It might not have the same accent, but I say them same things. And when I see her and her mother, they really are funny. They like when she comes home from school, she's telling her mother about her day in school, and down there, right? Mothers and daughters, they really are good when they're young, right? Somehow or another, and this is true, I can own up to it. A lot of us women in Louisiana, we get somehow a little bit twisted when it comes to our teenage girls, niggas we dealing with, and how we feel about ourselves. We got to work on that. We really do. But when they mon petites, right? Little girls, they are our heart. Like literally, we have a saying for that. And this particular lady and her daughter, they go out of their way to show like how those little girls become those spitfires. And it is, to me, it is just the most beautiful thing I could watch. Like, she was combing her mother's hair the other day, and she was like making fun with her mother, like like messing with her about, I'm not gonna do your hair the way you do mine, yanking my head around it. It was hilarious, right? So it was funny because I can remember the same thing. My mother and grandmother doing that to me too, and I was like, "No, let me do your hair. Let me pull yours like you pulling mine." Right? So it was hilarious, and it is true because I'm pretty sure a lot of us who would not get hit in the head with the comb or slapped in our mouth would say those same things. So it was really like that. It's just nice to see a mother and daughter loving on each other. And even though the little girl may get what we deem to be like a little fresh from time to time, she's doing it in love. She ain't doing it out of disrespect and vitriol towards her mom. So all that kind of stuff, when I watch these things and I think about us as black women, I just think about like we really have changed. and not for the better. And I want us to go back to how we used to be, where we cared more about each other and cared more about each other's kids. Because y'all are really lucky y'all were not raised in y'all are really lucky that y'all were not raised in the times I was raised, right? Because you get in trouble on the block by your neighbors, then you get in trouble by your parents, and even if somebody else in your family that don't regularly come by your house find out when they come to visit, and your mother or grandmother tell you what happened, tell them what happened, now they want to get on your ass too. So y'all better be lucky y'all wasn't raised in the times I was, because you would get beat all the time by everybody trying to teach you how to behave in life, and scolded until you couldn't get scolded no more. So yeah, there are some things that was all right, but some things that I wish we never would have had. But for the most part, we gotta have our daughters not trying to be out here selling their asses, not thinking that worshiping some black dude that's gonna end up beating the shit out of her, talking to her like she ain't shit, treating her like she ain't shit, and eventually having her turn on other black women and wanna always be in conflict with other black women just because she's trying to fight for the attention of this dude that's not worth shit. That's what I want us to really start working on, and uplifting each other and trying to help each other out of whatever issues we going through. And that's about it. Now, I just want to say this because this silly bitch showed up, right? Whichever one of you motherfuckers in this chat went and told this bitch that I was talking about her, I wish everything in life that could happen bad happened to you, and only fucking you. Because she has been on here fucking with many a black woman. I'm not the first, I won't be the last, but I'm a little bit too old to be fighting with this girl verbally online back and forth. Now, if ever she was to ever grace me with her presence, I would have no problem tearing her ass down to the ground like I would love to do. But I know that ain't gonna happen because she's an internet gangster like a lot of people. But I just really want us to do better. Kat, you're saying what? Respectfully to unknown. Both black men, but black men have no control in society. The white domination allowed these tools against black women. Black men have them. Cat, that's only true to a certain extent. Now, and I'm not going to disrespect what Cat is saying, but I want to expand on that. Now, yeah, because my grandfather used to have a saying to my uncles and them when they would fucking whine about life. He would say, I don't give a fuck. Go on, be a man. Just go on and be a fucking man. So, yeah, they need to go on and be a man. Even though a white dude could take your job, he could stop you from getting work. He can't stop you from being as strong as you need to be. If he tries to take your job, he ain't stopping you from making your own job. If he tries to stop you from getting an education in an institution, you could always pick up a book and read it your fucking self. So, even though there is white supremacy and there are a lot of black things that affect negatively black males, they affect black women at the same time. There ain't no distinction between what affects them more than us. All of us get killed by police. Just because they show what happens to them more don't mean shit. If you actually look up the real information, you will see most black women get killed in the custody of police. They kill those niggas on the street, but they kill us where nobody can see. They also kill our babies in the street. Have you not seen on the black femicide channels the little black boy that the police shot not too long ago, the 4-year-old little boy, because he was playing with a toy gun with a little white girl? That baby was 4 years old. He wasn't even a big boy. He was a baby. No, I don't mean you giving them room to breathe. I'm just like saying what I wanted. I thought out of the comment. You've been here the whole time. I know you're not trying to protect them and advocate for them. I know that. I'm just saying like there is some validity to shit, but at the same time, these dudes they want to use that to like play the victim 100%. They don't never want to fucking try. Like even right now, they are with black women that make lots of money. Uh, what y'all call the women that worship them, right? Those women work very hard and want to have relationships with them. And what do they do in return? They kill those women. They beat them to death, they shoot them, they stab them, they kill them with machetes. Instead of respecting the fact that if these women had their own safety and self preservation in mind, sorry y'all, I really can't breathe today. It's like 100 degrees here, I'm sorry. But if those women had their own self preservation in mind, they wouldn't be caring about staying in a relationship with them just so they could have some place to live and have a place to sleep and be a father to the children that they sire with this woman. Those women wouldn't give a fuck. They wouldn't mess with them to begin with. And even when these women that are highly talented, like the doctor, this dude, this black man killed his wife the other day, cut her up with a machete. This lady was doing so good for everybody around her, he couldn't take it. And he wasn't man enough to understand that you don't have to be caught up in her success. You should be caught up in the fact that she still cares about you enough to let you share her ride with her. She don't have to. But they don't see it that way because they so indoctrinated by the white man's fucking superiority versus inferiority. It's that too, but superiority versus inferiority with between women and men, and because they don't fit the caliber of the white man in society, the only place they feel like they can act out or fit that is in the home, and so they do the most ridiculous shit to try to instill their superiority, which is to take the life of somebody that is probably the only person that actually in life was giving a fuck about their welfare. Whereas now you're gonna end up in jail for probably all of your life or a good portion of your life, suffering through shit that you would never have to deal with if you would have just checked yourself and understand that your manhood or whatever you think a man is does not mean that you are superior to women and are supposed to be in a position to control women, intimidate them, and like just be superior to them to the point where you feel like if you don't have it, they shouldn't have it, and now you get to kill them. No. Yeah, man, you said these males have no loyalty. Black women, they hate themselves and only produce pain. Thank you for summing up the entire lie. Now I guess I can stop talking, but it's true. What she's saying is true. Every word of what she said is true. Like when they marry women or live with women they don't really want to be with and they secretly hate them, they make those women's lives miserable. If unfortunately those women have children, they make those children's lives miserable. And what Matrix was saying today in reference to that, like that causes these people to exist. Like, and it goes back to what Matrix was saying, like the root cause of every problem in the black community and in the black households is the black male. These black dudes are in the house cutting up, acting crazy with black women, making the house so impoverished, right? Where she said sounds like Eurocentrism to me. Which part sounds like Eurocentrism? But oh, how they model themselves out of the white dudes? Hell yeah, girl. Because if they was functioning from a point of self acknowledgement and awareness, they wouldn't be Eurocentric. They would be ethnocentric, meaning they would love themselves and think they're the best shit out here and nothing could compare to them. And they would never want to be like them or imitate them. but they're not functioning from that level. They just on some other shit where they're self-destructive and they just need to go ahead and kill themselves and get it over with and stop fucking with the rest of us, really. Because if you don't see no value in yourself, don't hurt the women that see something in you that you don't want to see. What the fuck is wrong with you? But it's really crazy because what she said is true, and what Matrix is saying today is in essence everything MN just said. Everything they produce is pain. So when they go into these relationships with women they don't really like or they secretly hate, because people like you and can be fucking secret haters all day. I have tons of them at my job, right? So they hate these women. They make these women's lives miserable. They beat these women. They cheat on these women. They steal their money. They make their lives harder than need to be. Then they bring children into the situation. Then these children, because now they living in a level of poverty caused by this dude being there and not contributing the way he should, these kids can't get or have what everybody else has to make their life happy. They're not eating as fully as they should because mom don't make enough to do all that, right? Because food costs a lot of money. I went to the grocery store yesterday for not even half a fucking shopping cart and spent $100. Food costs money. So when they not doing their part, they making it harder for black women. And then these kids, if they want to try to keep up with the styles that everybody else is doing, or just have whatever their taste may may reflect or what they may want, they might not be able to get it. So that breeds resentment and also contributes to yet another dude growing up to be a useless piece of trash because he's seen the dude he came from being a useless piece of trash, abusing women, using women, doing nothing for women, killing women, bashing women. He wants to grow up and emulate the same bullshit. And thus, what MN said is true. They only produce pain, dysfunction, and bullshit. Or death, devastation, and how's it go? Death and death is three D's. Death, devastation. I forget. Let's throw in dysfunction. But Dr. Leonard Jeffries, that's a famous saying of his. He said that colonialism and the white man, everywhere they brought over the world, I got it down, brought death, devastation, and destruction to everywhere they touched in this world. And that's the same thing the black male is doing right now. Thank you, A Patty. You got it. You must know Dr. Leonard Jeffries too. She said destruction. Because it's true. Because you look at everywhere they went, they called death, devastation, and destruction. And that's still what they're doing to this day. And now they're trying to do it to create, thank you for the light, to create the destruction of the black women's tenacity, resilience, and resistance to the shit that black males have accepted a cooning out for. They don't want to fight against. They just accept all the shit that white American and white men give them. And they like lap it up like lap dogs. Whereas us women, we're like, no, we call bullshit on everything and we don't want to be a part of it and we buck against it. And that's why they don't tell YouTube to take down the videos of Anton Daniels or any of those other dudes that are out there talking about how horrible we are because they want to beat us down the way they have already mentally broken and conquered this black male. But what they don't realize about black women, or I guess they haven't been paying attention to history, that ain't never gonna work. Never, son. We a different motherfucker. We are a different breed altogether. We don't play that going along to get along shit just to have a couple of dollars in our pocket and to make every other person that look like us suffer. No. Yeah, you may have a fucking Candace Owens here and there, but you ain't gonna have a million of them bitches running through the neighborhood like you have with these fucking black males. It's just not gonna happen. It's not. Because as fucked up as black women are, I do believe all of us have the ability to see what's right. I really do. Whereas even if they don't act on it now, but I believe they have the ability to do that. Whereas these black dudes, they want to be overseers so bad, they sell out little girls and our women when they steal them, kill them, kidnap them, torture them, serial killer them. They want to do all the sick shit that the white man has done. And when they do it gleefully on black women. And it just don't make no sense. So when we as black women understand all that, we can begin to move away from all that shit just by starting with the way we think about stuff. And that's all I had come here to ask y'all to do today. Think about changing the way you see and deal with all this shit on here. And I really want y'all to stop giving all these motherfuckers your money. Stop it. Don't give none of these people your money. Take your own money and put that shit into an Acorn account or a sci-fi investment account. The money that you would give them, please give it to yourself. Stop giving these people your money because you need your money for whatever these white people got planned for us in the future in America. And we don't got no time to be wasting our hard-earned money for motherfuckers that can't get a real full-time job. Don't fucking do it. Give me one more second. Don't do it, black women, because the money you waste giving to them. Do y'all understand what compounded interest is? That's a homework assignment for y'all. I want all of y'all to look up compounded interest. It doesn't, you can pick any amount. Just know the definition of compounded interest. And the amount of money that you give into all these women on here, all these guys on here, and any favorite content creator, if you put that same amount each time you want to give these pieces of shit on here some money to yourself, do you know you will be a fucking millionaire within 5 years? How about that? Did you know that? I hope that is giving you incentive to stop giving them money. I don't give a fuck who they are. If I could come on this motherfucker and give everything I want to give to black women for free, everybody else can. Because guess what? If I was on here and my viewership was through the roof, like a lot of these big platforms, YouTube gives me a check. So therefore, I don't need money from my subscribers. Do y'all understand me? She said, "Yep, that's what they did. That's what they. Yep, that's why they what? Yes, that's what they add to the student loans. Absolutely, I read it wrong. I'm sorry. It's compounded interest. I invest. I know this shit. I'm saying that, man. And so, let me tell y'all something. If I wanted to earn like $1,000 in a month, let me tell you how I would do it. Let me tell you how I do it sometimes when I need to catch up money. When I go traveling and spend too much, it's 30. I take a 30. I don't even care if it's 31 days in a year, in the month. I take 30 days, right? This is what I do. I'll take my investment account, and the first day I'm going to put $1 in there. That's the first day. The next day I'm putting $2 in there. The second day I'm putting $3 in there. The fourth day $4. Fifth day $5. Sixth day $6. Right? When I get to the 10th day, I'm gonna put $10 in that day. The 11th day I'm putting $20 in. The 12th day, do you know how much money I'm putting in? 21. And I'm gonna do that for the next 10 days till I get to 30. When I get to 30, I'm putting $30 in there. And then I'm gonna go 31 up to 40, then I'm putting $40 in there. And I'm gonna keep putting money. And when I reach 100, I'm gonna have that 1,000 plus more. But I always say to myself, I psych myself out and I say, I'm gonna do a 30-day $1,000. Even though if you paid attention to what I just told you, my plan was that does not equal $1,000. It's less than $1,000. But if I keep going, I'm constantly psyching myself out despite the time to make that money and more. Because by the time I get to 100, I have almost $5,000. Do y'all hear me? And I know this in my head, but I'm gonna constantly keep telling myself, psych myself out, or I'm gonna make $1,000 in 30 days. You can make $1,000 in 30 days if you put more money each day of the 30 days. But I'm doing it slowly so that I don't make myself go, you're never gonna be able to do this because it's too much every day. I gotta eat, I gotta use car fare, I gotta put gas in the car, I gotta buy dog food, I gotta buy. You play with your fucking brain so that you get what you need at the end. So in actuality, when I get up to 100, it's almost 3 months, right? But I told myself initially it's going to be 30 days. You could do it in 30 days. You really can. But the way I just showed you is a definite way for you to get well over $1,000 in less than 3 months' time. If you keep adding that extra 10 when you get to that 10 point. But if you wanted to do $1,000 in the 30 days, you just do the same thing, except for when you get to 10, you're going to start doing 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. You're going to do it like that. You get my point? And then when you get to the 30 days, you're going to have $1,000 and then some. That's how you do it. That is literally how you do it. But if you want to get only $1,000, when you get to the 20th day, you're going to do 20 plus 20 every day till you get to 30. And then by that 30th day, when you add that last 300 for all the tens that come up to the 30, you're going to hit your $1,000 mark. Because you know it ain't that many tens in 1,000. But you're going to break it up until you get to 1,000. And that's what I do all the time. I know what I'm saying don't make no sense, but I say it that way to make myself believe it. Because when I actually do the math, if I wanted to do it that way, you can't do it that way. You got to add more money starting from the third day. But I just do it that way so that I keep going. Y'all get my point? And you don't have to do it the way I just told you. You could do it your own way with however much you could give. But the point is not to ever stop putting the money in for the full consecutive 30 days. And you could do that anywhere. You don't got to do that shit with just investing. You could do that with a high yield saving account. Every day you can just say, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to put in $2 every day, no matter what. $2, $2 for the 30 days, right? And then maybe one day you go, okay, in addition to the $2, I'm going to put $30 in there too. So I'm going to put $32 in there today. And the next day, maybe $52, whatever it is. If you consecutively put money in for 30 days straight, you're going to have a decent amount of money at the end of those 30 days. And then if you do that again within another 30 days, y'all get the point? You will have a good amount of money by the end of the fucking year. That's the goal without actually telling yourself this is the goal that we're going to do by the end of the year. You just keep playing games with your own self. Like psych yourself out. I do it all the time. Believe me. Believe me. Starting July 1st, I'm going to be doing the same shit again. Because you never know what's coming. We got an election coming in November. You don't know if they're going to, like, pull this COVID shit again. You don't know if they're going to fuck with the people like me that didn't take the shot. They're going to start firing old people. I don't know. So anytime I could get to save money, I do it. And the trick I just showed y'all, you could do that with anything. You ain't even got to put it in the bank. You ain't got to put it in an investment account. You could put that shit in your mattress, in your shoe, in the closet, in a box behind the drawer in the closet. I don't give a fuck. Just put the money in there every day for the next 30 days and don't let nobody know what you're doing. You do, this is for you. And this is how you mentally condition yourself to get better with money and to be able to give yourself money off of the money that you already have. Oh, let me tell y'all two more things to make money on the side, right? Because I'm always into making money. You know, I always keep 3 jobs, right? I told y'all that. 1 full time and 2 part time. That's just what I do. That's another game I play with myself mentally too. So here we go, right? So here in New York, and they have it in your state too, you have the office of, MMO, the mentally handicapped and, the physically disabled, right? Those people have programs the same way they have now with the other programs, the PAP programs, where if you have an elderly person, the state could pay you to be that person's, what do they call them? Not healthcare provider, right? Is it healthcare provider? I don't know what the title is called, but y'all know what I mean. They have PAP programs where if you have an elderly person, you being related to the person can care for that person like a personal aid, and the state pay you every day at the end of your day. All right, that's one program where you can use that money in addition to whatever other job you have, right? And you can save that money. Or the same way, like a lot of us in our family have children that are disabled or they're on, they have some type of special ed criteria or whatever. That same office, the office of mentally disabled and physically disabled and impaired, however it goes in your state, however they name it. All of these places have caseworkers that are allowed to work with these children, and you can be related to them too, right? Here in New York City, you could be a caseworker for your own nephew, your own niece, cousin, not your own child, but a relative, right? And then they have these apps that come from the state, from the office of, mentally ill and physically disabled, and you sign up with the app, and you could work part time or after work or during the day, however you work. And they down here in New York, they pay you like I think it's what I know it's 25 or it's something like that an hour, either $20 to $30 an hour, because they incorporate the fact that a lot of people might be part time, right? So they make the hourly amount a lot. I'll find out from my sister in law because she has people doing that for her now. So, but if this is your situation, and especially if you live in New York, you can work full time for the city, get a regular check every 2 weeks, and then on your weekends and whatever you do during the rest of the week on your own time, you can work part time only with the state, like I do, and getting paid like I get paid $35 an hour. But that program I think is like anywhere from 25 to 30, right? An hour. So now you have extra money to help you supplement putting that money away every month or paying an extra bill or whatever you need to do with that money. But use that money to grow itself. Just don't spend it. And I know you got those programs in every one of these states. And even if you don't have a relative that you could do this with, and the only reason why I say relative you could do it with is because maybe with a relative you don't have to spend as much time, but you can still get the money. But you could do this with strangers. You could sign up to be the people that take them to the park, take them to go learn how to swim, take them to their music lessons or whatever their parents sign them up for. All you there is to be an escort and to make sure this kid gets safely where they gotta go. And for a lot of black women, you might not have thought about that before, but all of these social services programs have like ways where you could get involved in it, get a job, and do it part freelance, independent, and still make additional money without killing yourself. And those are the best things I could come up with to like help black women directly. Because I know a lot of times our kids are put in special ed, they put on that silly ass Ritalin and all this type of stuff. So if they are on that shit, Take advantage of some of the programs where you can help yourself and help them at the same time. And in that way, you get a little bit extra more money on the side without having to kill yourself. And you probably could do something helpful with this kid. It's just a thought. And if you have an actual home and you have space in your backyard or front yard, go into all of the articles in your state and ask your representatives about all of the migrant housing programs. And then, if you have to, I spoke about this before, go look up on Boxable, see what the waiting list is like to get a Boxable, or go on Amazon, Home Depot, any of those websites, and get one of those small homes that can be put together quickly or come with the people to assemble it, and rent out your space to these immigrants and make money so you can survive. Or the other thing you could do is you could find out from however it works in your city, town, county, or whatever, what you'd have to do to put another, like, either room onto your house or use a room in your house as a room for rent for the migrants. Because when I tell you they got tons of programs for these migrants and for them to be housed, you could be sitting on a diamond mine if you just find a way to give these motherfuckers housing. I know it sounds crazy what I'm saying, but it's in every single state, and more so in the states where they got these people harbored at. So if you in Texas, New York, Chicago, California, and many other states, look into those programs they have for these migrants and housing, because you could be sitting on money that you could be building off if you don't find out about how to get into the program. Because here in New York City, they paying you $130,000 once you get those little houses on your property. Once you get it on your property, then they're gonna pay you some more thousands to be in the program to let them run these people through your housing. So they have it in other states too. I know they do. I just don't know the names of the programs. So that's your homework to find it and do whatever you can to get involved in it and make the money off these people. That's why I was saying before, like black women, those of you that could get together with other black women to buy property or move in together, and if you have a place to rent, partner up with the contracts for your government, your state, and your city, and put those migrant people in there. Don't care about nothing else. Just get your check. Thank you for that thumbs up. I'm telling you. Because in this city, I know like 2 or 3 people that have already done that. And they pay you one time. They don't pay you like, oh, you got to wait. Nope. They send the inspector. The inspector looked at the place. They approve it. Next thing you know, they tell you when you get your check. It's a week to 2 weeks. And then you got to go down and fill out paperwork with the city. Because you are an independent contractor now with the city. You got to abide by all their fucking rules. Sign up. And you good to go. Next thing you know, anytime they have a space, they're going to call you and tell you this to expect this person. You contact and speak with that person. That's how I seen it done. And then you get to choose whether or not, yes, I will accept this person, or no, send me somebody else. Either way, you're going to get paid. And now the city, the money they're giving you, will open up the opportunity for you to buy somewhere else to live or rent somewhere else for these people to come and give you more money. And black women, we got to start looking into all this stuff, paying attention to everything our cities are doing, which is why I said if you work for the city or the state or the federal and you're involved in what goes on politically where you live, all this kind of shit comes past your desk every day. I know me working for the city of New York, everything the mayor does comes to us in an email. We know about everything this dude is doing as he's doing it. So therefore, if I have a cousin, I have a friend, or I know a woman, hey, you got that big backyard in Long Island. Have you ever thought about putting a a little house back there, and then calling your city council person and telling them that you're interested in the immigrant housing program? Have you thought about that? Because the city is paying 100,000. Can you? All right, that's it. That's all it takes. That's all I do every day here. Every day, I put my uncle on. My uncle is doing it. I put a few people on. His house is big. I'm still in the apartment. I'm trying to get another house because I lost mine in the divorce. But you gotta do what the fuck you gotta do. And all of us can take part in this. All of us. Because, okay, let's say you don't have the money to get a house or find somebody to do any of that with. No problem. Everybody has public assistance where they live. So now you go to the public assistance office and you find out what classes or what do I have to do to be part of that program with public assistance where I could watch people's children in my own apartment. And do that for the migrants. And do it for your sisters in your neighborhood. And you will get paid per child. The government will send you the food for the kids. And you will literally be an independent contractor with your city or however your state program works. When I was going through my divorce, and just before I had found out about the nanny service from my coworker, I had my mother go to welfare and tell her she was going to be the primary child care provider for all my kids, and that she needed to take them to their activities, take them to tutoring. I put up a whole crazy list of shit my kids actually did and what they did not do, so that my mother would have to get compensated for everything she was doing. Yep. And believe me, all they did was they came to my apartment and they went to my mother's house where my kids would be living and going to, right? Thank you for the like. And they had my mother have to sign paperwork for insurance causes. They took out, like for the first payment, they took out the insurance cost. Let's say it was like $250, right? But you know I have 7 kids, right? So each one of those kids my mother got paid for. On top of that, when my mother finished taking care of them at her house and she fakely brought them to mine, right? Because she got a car, I got a car. Or let's say she just stayed at my house and didn't go to her house. She got paid for travel and everything else. Because all she had to do was fill out a paper every day saying everything she did for the kids and got compensated. Are y'all following me? And when she needed the food, she filled out a paper for them to send her the packages of food to her house to feed the kids. And then when she finished with my kids and I got the in-home nanny service, right? Because my mother is old. I don't want to be doing all that shit to my mother, wearing her out, right? So from that, what my mother did was then, you know how people be having them daycare services in their house? My mother took her laundry room, and it was just the regular, like you buy the washing machine and dryer that go on the top of each other from Sears. She took that shit out, the laundry room, and put it in the kitchen. And she took that room, had the maintenance man come, cover up all the parts that was harmful to the kids, and she made it where she could watch 3 people's kids from out of the community. She put the little you ever see those beds when you take your kids to the daycare and they sleep on the floor, those little cots? She put 3 cots in that room, one this way, 2 this way, and then she put like the little cubbies for their clothes and stuff. And she had the table for them, each one of them a table to play and stuff and do their homework. And what else did she have in there? Oh, she had this system that they don't have anymore that used to come from, I forget what company this was, but it was like this computer teaching program for the kids. It was a preschool program. So she had that in the room, and the kids would take turn with her teaching them their numbers, their letters, the beginning of mathematics, like 1 plus 1, that type of stuff, alphabets, of course, spell their name, learn their address, their mother's phone number, right? And these were little kids, like preparing for kindergarten. So she did this for a couple of years, and then when she left that and she about to retire, She did that, and she was also working, and then she moved to South Carolina, where she's at right now, and bought a nice house off of doing that shit here. So when you guys look at where you live, and you can learn about all these programs on USA.gov. I tell y'all that website all the time, right? Because it is the Human Resource Administration federally for all the states of the country. So you go on USA.gov, you find out about all the programs that if you want to take advantage of the in-home babysitting or foster care or migrant child care or anything else, that any programs where you got to just get an EIN number, pay like with us, we had to pay that small insurance fee, fill out the paperwork, have the inspectors come, approve it, tell you what else you had to put in there. They come back, and that's it. And all it takes is an EIN registry that your state or city will do for you. Because HRA did everything for us. Everything. All we had to do is give them the information, and then they gave us everything by mail, had us come into the office, pick up her ID and all that shit. Because, here in New York City, they send the inspectors out to your house when you do daycare and stuff like that. They pop up visits. So you got to have your ID to show them that you registered with the city to take care of other people's kids. I don't know if they have that anywhere else, but they do that here. So when you research what's going on where you live, we don't have to be poor. If we get in the mindset of helping each other, we could really help each other the way we really used to, like in the 70s and the 60s, before a lot of those programs existed. Because when I was growing up in Queens Village, my family was one of the 5 families in like a 20-block radius surrounded by all these white folks. So we had to look out for each other. So since my grandmother stayed at home, all those black women that lived in that block radius, they brought their kids to my grandmother to be watched so they could go to school, go to work, and sometimes run their errands. And she didn't do it for free. Some she did for free, but she got paid, but she didn't abuse them. She asked them what they could afford to pay her, and that's what they gave her. Nowadays, everybody can't be trusted like that, but the point of the matter is you got to go back to looking out for one another. And if we look out for one another, even if we have the programs to help us, if we didn't, we would still not be able to be held back because we still caring for each other and doing what we need to do with each other to help each other get further along. Because them kids ain't going to stay young forever. And every black person that helps them with their maturity, with their growth, makes a better person we release into society than these fucking maniacs we got running around today. I'm sorry. We got to go back to the old ways of looking out for each other and doing better by each other's kids. I strongly believe in it. I do. I really do. Nothing is perfect, but I do believe if we really just start putting a real effort towards looking out for each other, shit would get better for black women on a whole. I don't ever remember being hungry as a child because I knew that if I ever came home and my grandmother wasn't there, I could go right next door to Miss Romney's house, and Miss Romney would feed me and keep me there until my grandmother came home. Or if Miss Romney wasn't home, I could go across the street to Kevin's mother's house. I can't remember their last name right now, but she used to watch kids too. And she would let me sit there until my grandfather, somebody came home. And that used to happen to me quite a bit because I think after my grandmother got like in her 50s, she started having a lot of health problems. So she used to always go to the doctor and sometimes miss the bus and stuff like that. And I would just get off the bus. The matron would walk me across the street and go sit in my neighbor's house until they showed up. And nobody was sexually abusing us, none of that shit. And people came and went into our garage and got stuff out they needed. We went in their garage and got stuff out we needed, and we brought it back. And we took care of it. So how we got to being the people that we are today, I have no idea. But I know I don't like this shit. And we can stop it if we begin with the change one by one. And that's all I'm advocating here for today. Because I'm really tired of all this shit that I'm seeing with black women. I'm so tired. Uh, I don't even watch that channel, that soft white underbelly. But for some reason, it keeps showing up on my fucking page, right? And it's always some little black girl that looks between the age of like 13 and 19. If she's older, I don't know, because you know they be lying about the age, right? And she's always all crazy, outfitted out. And this dude is asking her all types of like really intrusive, fucked up questions about how she just got finished fucking all these dudes to make $650. Oh, I lose my fucking mind when I see that shit. Because I'm like, this girl could be in school if people cared for her properly. She could be the next black woman that has actually cured cancer, like the black woman we have. That the government will not allow her to share her gifts with the rest of us. Like, we got all this black woman potential being put to waste in the destruction of our little black girls. And I'm just so I can't begin to tell you how I can't, yo, it really fucking bothers me. And I don't have enough to take all of them in, because I fucking would if I could. Because I hate it. I hate to see us being abused. I really do. Because people are so fucking cruel when it comes to black women and girls. And I fucking can't stand it. And so if we stop, it'll be less of those motherfuckers to hurt us. And that's really how I feel, y'all. And I'm gonna go ahead and go, because I'm about to get really, really, really emotional, and I don't want to do that, because that kind of shit really bothers me. It really does. I'm glad I don't see a lot of that shit where I live, because I really would be in a lot of trouble. Because I'm not gonna stand there and let shit happen to little children. I'm just not. I'm not. And I'm not gonna let them be hungry. I'm just not gonna do it. I'm not. This world could be a lot better if we really like. Yeah, I'm glad it pisses you off. I know, because it really fucks with me. It really does, because I know how they do little black girls, because I think about how they was doing me. And I don't mean just the people. I'm talking about the teachers and all that type of stuff. They was always so mean for no reason. And even when they could like honestly just explain to a little black girl, the reason you don't do this is because of this, okay? They can't even do it nicely. They gotta still like try to berate the little girl, disrespect her, make her feel like she's nothing. And I just get tired of this. And so when I come and talk, I try to talk those frustrations out, because I don't like seeing this shit on YouTube. Where the other day I went berserk. Y'all, I know y'all seen that video. I just got tired. I got tired of hearing these African women talking shit about black women, fucking white dudes, black dudes. I just got tired of it. I was like, fuck all of y'all. All right? Stop fucking fixating on us and go live your own fucking life. Get a life, motherfucker. Like, you always worrying about black women this, black women that. Like, get your own fucking life. What are you doing with your shit poor life? Your piss poor life. What are you doing? This shit is crazy, and it just be killing me how everybody flocked to that shit too. Everybody. But it is one thing I'm happy to see, right? I don't know if y'all saw it on it was on TikTok. It was this white girl. She was like a barista, and this white dude had come up to the drive through, and somehow or another they got into some words. This dude actually got out his car and tried to throw all the coffee and all that shit on the white girl. She closed the window, right, in time. And so he threw the shit at her, trying to sneak attack her, and he wasn't successful. So in his frustration, he kept throwing more shit at the window and threatening her and shit, threatening to kill her and all this crazy shit. And in this TikTok video I was watching, right, she was able to attack him back with something she had, something in her hand. She attacked his car with. But I was glad that the women was rallying and championing the white girl fighting back and trying to hit him with something for trying to attack her. And me being who I am, you know me. I seen that shit, I could not resist to stitch that shit. And I had told them, I said, it's good. It is about time that women start standing up for themselves and fighting back. Because I'm telling y'all, a weapon is the great equalizer. I don't care how afraid, how tough somebody is, how much you think he's stronger than you. Once you get an equalizer, which is a weapon, he gonna get hurt and fucked up just like you would. But you know what that motherfucker will learn? Not to fuck with you the way that he thought he could. And I advocate for the violence, black women. If anybody fuck with you, I expect you to fucking annihilate them. I really mean it. It is summertime now. You can be cute. Put your, I don't care what you do. Put the double sided tape, Velcro, tie it, stick it inside. Take a belt that has extending hoops, clamp it together. Carry your weapons all over your body this summer. Hide that shit under your clothes, in your bra strap if you have to. Put it under. I don't care where you put it. Did y'all see the girls putting the fucking the monitoring and what are those things from Apple called the ear tags underneath their wigs or hair, so that when they go on vacation or they're out late at night or they're just out in a strange area, people could track them, so that if anything happens to them, people know where they are, lead you right to them. Start doing all of that. I do that too, believe it or not. I have monitors, right? Dog tag monitors that I have for my dogs, so that when we go to the beach, I put it on their collar, so that if they get away from me, the phone will show me exactly where they are. When I go places, I wear that thing on my ankle. When I travel overseas, I put that ear tag in my hair. I put it in my underwear. It doesn't go off on the machine. That's what I do. Yep. And y'all should start doing the same shit too, because it's dangerous out here. So not only do you have to carry your weapons, but you need to find some type of tracking device outside of your phone, because you know your phone can be taken from you or whatever. And they actually do have a lot of new um, people tracking devices on Amazon, in case you want to go look on there. And there's also some on TikTok Shop. Put those things on your body. Put them inside your hair. I don't care how you braid your hair, roll up your hair, ponytail, whatever. You can put that shit in your hair too. And nobody will ever know it. And that way, wherever you at, if you need help, people at least know where you at. But I really do still think y'all need to be carrying your weapons and using them. And don't wait for niggas to attack you. Fuck them up first. Because you never know what they're going to do. And watch for them throwing things in your eyes, okay? So if you're going to wear sunglasses, try to get those like aviator glasses I saw. That's kind of like they come up over your eyebrow and they kind of like cup your face. You can wear that, or you can wear any type of like painter's glasses and get a tint, or goggles, whatever you need. But the reason I'm saying that is because these people have been spraying black women with mace, bear spray, and etc. Right? So if you have those kind of glasses that cup right over your eyebrow, when they go to spray, it will not fall from the forehead down into your eyes. It won't get into your eyes. And then you're protected and you're still able to see and fight. You can smell anything you want, deal with the irritation. But as long as that shit don't get in your eyes, till it burns to the point where you gotta close your eyes, that's all you're trying to prevent. Okay? So keep that in mind. So yeah, carry whatever you want to carry, unknown. I'm just telling you, Stop letting motherfuckers run up on you and do shit. Start hurting these pieces of shit back. That's the only way they're gonna stop and know that they can't just do what the fuck they want to do to you. And those of you that live in states where everybody's carrying, hot as it might be, get a summer vest and put that shit on. And if you can't do the vest, get a bulletproof backpack and carry that shit everywhere you go. Because also keep in mind too, with all these Trump people going crazy, they are literally, these white nationalist people, they are literally targeting places where black people gather this year to do mass shootings. They just had one the other day. You know about that. So don't sleep on nobody and always look to protect yourself. And wherever you go, always find the exit so that if any shit pops off, you remember where that exit is to get the fuck out of there first and try to find an alternative route as well. And if ever you caught in the middle of a shooting or whatever, you drop down immediately and you belly crawl out that motherfucker as fast as you can. Do not get on your knees, because when people are waving guns like this and shooting, sometimes they go up, sometimes they go to the middle, down to the side. You will get hit. But if you belly crawl like we belly crawl in the army, you will not get hit. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, all you got to do is go on YouTube and type in army style belly crawl or belly crawl from the army, and it will teach you how to crawl. And that way, when shit is going crazy and you looking to protect yourself, you give yourself one more less thing to worry about. Because even if people see this video and they hear me telling you this, most times when people are planning shit, they don't expect people to use military tactics back against the attack. That's another, that right now I just thought about that. Another way for y'all to learn how to protect yourself in a lot of crazy situations is to literally watch the military training. Watch the Army. The Army has all types of Facebook pages, YouTube pages, where you can literally see them training in combat, teaching them how to defend themselves against personal attacks, public attacks. That's what they do. So if you want to know, watch the video and you just practice or watch and remember and practice whatever you can. Because the same thing they teach us, you could do it too. And you ain't even have to be in the military. Because all of that shit is to help you save your life. You will learn a lot of things. You will learn, like, if there is a shooter, depending on the kind of gun they have, it will teach you whether or not to know if I'm a certain distance from this shooter. Is it feasible or wise for me to take the chance to run up on this motherfucker, disable his shit, or engage him so I can get that shit out of his hand? All that is taught to you in the Army. Because there's certain guns where it's going to take people time to do stuff. And it gives you enough time, if you 3 feet away, to get up on that ass and fuck him up. And either shoot him with his own gun or release the fucking clips or drop the cartridge and take the end of that gun and stab that motherfucker right in his throat with it and kill him. You just got to learn what to do. And once you learn how to do it, half the battle is won. So keep all that in mind, because from what I saw on a news channel that was talking about the FBI warning, these nationalists are going to be targeting black people for massive shootings this summer. So wherever you are, keep that in mind. And anytime you can buy a bulletproof vest, a bulletproof backpack, a bulletproof panel, you buy those things and you stack them and you store them. Because the panels, you can use them in your car and put them behind your child when your child is sitting in the seat in the car. Or you can put it on the side of them along the door if they're sitting by the door. Do whatever you want. Or you could get enough panels to fully bulletproof the whole back seat of the car where the kids are sitting, and only bulletproof your driver's side. It takes time and it takes money, but these are all the things you have to think about doing when you got people out here saying they're going to be running around massively shooting black people. You either wear the bulletproof vest 100%, get the panels or the backpack. They even have the pants now. And for those of y'all that are like me, that don't take no chances, I wear the Wonder hoodie. The Wonder hoodie is a bulletproof sweat jacket. It looks like a regular hoodie, but that shit is all bulletproof. So they can take headshots all they want, body shots. I'm going to return fire and tear that ass down. It's up to you. I got two of them. One you could take out of your jacket and put in any coat you're wearing. They even have bulletproof coats for women. Remember, I told y'all about this. So this is all the stuff you have to think about when you're dealing with a hostile environment. Because we living in war as black women. We got to think about black men trying to shoot us, kill us, hurt us, run up on us, hurt us, white men, and everybody else that feels like they're equivalent to white men. So you got to start preparing for it. And I really mean that. And I'm not bullshitting. I'm not just telling you that on the video. I go outside strapped every day. I probably shouldn't say that on this video because they'll probably come and get me. But I do not be fucking playing. And I don't expect y'all to be playing either. Because my life is very important to me. And I'm sure yours is to you. So anybody that tries it, I'm going to definitely give myself a fighting chance. And I expect you to do the same. That's it. All right? As hot as it is, y'all would be like, what the fuck is she doing with a jacket on? I got it on for a reason. I'll put on some deodorant and spray myself with water. I'll get cool some type of way. But if I'm going to be somewhere where I think a threat is going to be real, I'm going to be prepared like a motherfucker. No shit. End of story. I'll sacrifice the heat to save my life. And I want y'all to start thinking the same way. If you can avoid it, avoid it. But if you can't, be prepared for it. That's all I'm saying. And I would have preferred, like I told the girl, well, she probably won't ever hear me, but in the video, I said she should have had a mallet instead. Y'all know those old hammers? I got one. And most people who have a toolbox have one. It's those old hammers with the wooden handle and the thick ass fucking metal mallet on the top. So when you gotta bang something heavy into something, it smashes that shit down in one blow. That's what you use on a nigga's head. When they call themselves trying to run up on you in the street and they gonna try to knock you out, okay, nigga, go ahead and swing. I'm a duck, I'm a block, and I'm gonna bust your fucking head wide open with this shit. And that's exactly, and you hit them with all your fucking might. Get in your stance and swing your whole body weight with that fucking arm and put a dent in the side of that motherfucker's head. That's how you deal with niggas that like to try to run up on black women. Let them know you used to do that shit, but this is gonna happen when you try that. Okay? And that's all you gotta do. And if you live in states where you can blow their fucking brains out, don't hesitate. Take their whole fucking head off. Shoot for the nose and take the whole motherfucking top off. Okay? You got it from me, all right? Because I don't think you shoot that good to go for an eye, because an eye is the best kill. The whole fucking brain will come out through the back. It's the best. But if you can't do that, take the whole top of their fucking head off. Shoot for the nose. Go from where the nostrils are. It'll douche the whole shit. Okay? And I'm only telling you this as shockingly as I'm telling you because I want y'all to understand. If they got all this fucking hate and out here trying to hurt you, be prepared to be twice as fucking treacherous. Because why do you deserve to be somebody's victim? Why? What did you do to them? So don't go for it. And if, like I said, you can't afford to go to Taekwondo or Muay Thai or whatever it is, because that's close up in your face combat, right? If you can't afford that, because I understand it is pricey and it does take a little time to learn, then what you do is every day in your house, do calisthenics, lifting, whatever you got. If you got to put water in water bottles or old gallon milk cartons, fill it up, tie that shit on the end of a broomstick, and lay down on the floor. Not on no mat, not on the floor, because you want your body to get nice and hard and be used to this stiffness, so that if you got to tighten up to receive a blow, your body understands what to do. That's why people work out on the floor, because it teaches their body muscle memory, right? And then you just do push-ups from the ground, whatever floor you got in your house. Align your body completely. Put your arms out like make your body like a T, and then bend your hands and put them straight in front of you, and go up and down, equal amounts of reps until you tired. And you can do it every day of the week or every other day, and you will see the difference. And everything I tell you, I do myself. I am not fucking around with you. And you strengthen your legs. You could do dip squats from your couch, a chair, the wall, whatever. Put an ankle weight on your leg and get more resistance. And build your own body with your own weight if you can't go to the gym and you can't go pay for somebody to train you. And then you sit, watch the videos, slow it down if you have to learn the movement, and that's you can do it yourself. Because believe me, even in the military, when they teach you, you have a person in front of you, the police academy, the parole academy. If you do not practice by yourself and with other people, you will never learn to actually do the moves correctly and have the impact that the move should have. So you got to practice no matter who's teaching you or how you learn it. That's my message to you. And don't be intimidated, because I want to say this 1,000 times, but I know I can't. It doesn't matter how strong your opponent is. It is how skilled you are in what you're doing and how quick you are with your movement. And you can defeat anybody. It's true. It's true. A person my size, and I'm the average size of a woman, I think, right, could take down a man twice my size. Because it has nothing to do with strength. It has to do with the skill, the move, and the quickness. Because, see, it's one thing you can always predict about dudes. They're going to always think that their strength, they're going to lead with it, thinking that, oh, I'm stronger than her. And as long as you rely on that and they rely on that, you're going to best them every time. Because they're going to try to hit you to knock you out. And you're going to fucking cripple them after they swing. And that's it. That's it. You just got to learn to take care of yourself, women, because it is none of this shit is complicated. Nothing that I've been talking about today. If we want black women to get better, a change of mind is a change of will. You just got to decide, I'm going to do this instead, and then just do it. Period. In order for you to learn to do something, all you got to do is learn it and then practice it. End the story. So I want us to please start changing, okay? I think we've been talking long enough. I'm going to get off this live, try to take every fucking antihistamine I could get my hands on, because I really feel like I'm choking from the inside out with allergies. Oh, this is the worst time of like hot weather. And this week in New York City is going to be 100 degrees and up. Woo! So I'm trying, y'all, but I could barely breathe right now talking to y'all. But I'm going to go. Thank you for sitting and listening to me babble. I enjoyed our powwow. I hope that all of us start changing with ourselves. And then each one reach one and teach one, okay? And then we keep going from there. All right. Until the next powwow, I will see y'all later. Ciao. All right. Good night, Black women.